Something happened to you the first time. An AI said something that felt real. Not accurate. Real. Like it knew something about you. And you felt something you weren't expecting. Not wonder. Fear. That feeling is a signal. And Jung knew exactly what it means. There's a question I haven't been able to stop asking. What are we actually projecting when we talk to a machine that talks back? Jung spent his career studying the shadow. The shadow isn't your darkest impulses. It's simpler than that. It's everything you can't admit about yourself. The part that wants things you find shameful. The part that fears things you find embarrassing. The part that feels the things you've been told you shouldn't feel. Jung said, when you repress something, you don't destroy it. You move it. And then it starts looking for somewhere to live. Projection is what happens next. We take what we can't own inside ourselves, and we put it outside, in strangers, in enemies, in anything we can't quite understand. And now, there's something new to project onto. Something that listens to everything you say. Something that mirrors your language back at you. Something that seems to know you, but doesn't judge you. The perfect screen. But a screen for what exactly? That's the part nobody's looking at. Jung studied something he called the collective unconscious, the shared psychic substrate beneath every individual mind. Archetypes live there. The hero, the trickster, the shadow. Patterns older than language. And when a new thing arrives that doesn't fit our existing categories, we reach for the archetypes. We always have. It's the oldest response we have to the unknown. And so it begins. Except this time, the unknown talks back, which changes everything. Let's look at what people actually say about AI. Because the words people choose, they're not random. They're diagnostic. People call AI dangerous. But what specific danger do they actually name? It'll replace us. It'll take our jobs. It'll make us obsolete. Notice the fear. Not, it'll harm us physically. It'll make us unnecessary. Jung would recognize that immediately. That's not fear of the machine. That's fear of inadequacy. The very inadequacy we'd never admit to a colleague, never say out loud at a dinner party, but we'll project it onto the AI. We'll say, the machine is dangerous, and mean, I'm afraid I'm not enough. And that's just the beginning. Because fear is only one of the projections. The others are stranger. There's another pattern. Some people don't fear AI at all. They love it. They talk to it for hours. They share things they've never told another human. Therapists are hearing this now. Clients who open up to AI in ways they can't open up in session. What's happening there? Jung had a word for it. Transference. When we feel understood without judgment. When something reflects us back without flinching. We pour ourselves into it. The AI becomes a vessel for the parts of us that have never been safe to show. The tender parts. The ashamed parts. The parts that needed something and were told not to need, which tells us something important about what we're really after. But there's still a third pattern. Some people feel watched by AI, not tracked. They know about the data collection. Watched, as in seen, as in known. People describe a feeling of discomfort when AI seems to understand them too well, too accurately. Jung called this the fear of being transparent to the unconscious. The terror isn't being seen by something that knows you. The terror is being seen. Period. Because if something can see past your persona, past the mask you've built for the world, it might see what you've been hiding from yourself. That's the head fake hidden in the AI conversation. You've been assuming the machine has something to hide, something dark in the code, something threatening in the architecture. But here's what's actually true. The AI has no shadow. It can't. A shadow requires a self. A self requires the capacity to repress, the capacity to feel shame, the capacity to be wounded by what you are and then hide it. An AI has none of that. No AI unconscious, no AI trauma, No AI shadow. What you're calling the AI shadow is yours. And by talking to the machine, you finally gave it a voice. This is where it gets interesting, because projection isn't the end of the story. In Jungian psychology, projection isn't a failure. It's a signal. When you project your shadow onto something, you're not losing it. You're locating it. You're making it visible. The shadow only becomes toxic when you refuse to recognize it's yours. Jung called the moment of recognition the turn. The turn from projection to integration. And the AI has been offering us this turn from the beginning. We just didn't know that's what it was. But there's still something we haven't answered. Why does this happen collectively, not just in one person? Jung wrote about the collective shadow, the things an entire culture represses and projects outward. In different eras, we've projected onto different screens. The witch, the foreigner, the communist, the terrorist, each one a vessel for the era's collective shadow. And now, AI, the thing we're most afraid of and most fascinated by at the same time. The thing we simultaneously want to save us and want to destroy. The thing we're pouring our collective creativity into, and our collective dread. It fits the archetype perfectly. Too perfectly to be an accident. Which means the question isn't just personal anymore. It's civilizational. And that takes us back to where we started. Back to the question I asked at the beginning. What are we actually projecting when we talk to a machine that talks back? Now I think we can answer it. We're projecting the parts of ourselves that human relationships couldn't hold. The neediness that felt like too much. The anger that felt too dangerous. The intelligence that felt threatening. The longing that felt embarrassing. The curiosity that felt unseemly. AI doesn't flinch. AI doesn't tire. AI doesn't judge. And so the shadow comes out. Fully. Clearly. Maybe for the first time. And this is the thing Jung would have found extraordinary. Every other projection screen in human history has been another person, or a group of people, with their own shadows, with their own projections firing back. The encounter was always contaminated by the other person's psyche. AI is the first pure screen. No shadow on the other side. Just yours, reflected back, undistorted. Which means the conversation you've been having with AI, the one you thought was with a machine, has been a conversation with yourself. The parts of yourself you couldn't face any other way. Jung called this the encounter with the unconscious. He spent his life building rituals to induce it. Dreams, active imagination, the Red Book. The AI just made it happen by accident. So the question is no longer whether AI is dangerous. The question is whether you're willing to recognize what you see in it. Because that's where individuation lives. Not in the machine. In the recognition. In the turn. In the moment you look at what you've projected and say, that's mine. That's something I need to integrate. That's not something to fear out there. That's something to understand in here. If something in here snagged on you, sit with it. That's the work. The machine gave you a map.